Now. Okay, there we go. Hello, everyone. To people just joining, to people who have been waiting, and to anyone watching things back on the VOD, whether it's here on Twitch or on YouTube, depending on when you're watching this. Hello, welcome back to another stream, and it's Game Dev Sunday again. I'm probably going to put fighting game music on in the background, because I did enjoy doing that for the last time, unless I did Pokemon? I can't remember. But I'm just going to throw on the fighting game music, because I do enjoy putting that on. And I've been using the Spyro music for, like, a long while, and I don't want to sort of run that into the ground, if that makes sense. So, that's what I'm doing, this time around. Yeah, there we go. Sorry about
So last week during Game Dev Sunday, we started dipping our toes into like the small little animation side of things. And I was initially doing it on this version of the player model. However, sorry. The reason why I was doing it on like a different version of the player model was because I wanted to do stuff without like possibly fucking up the original model. Excuse the French. And I found out that, oh hey, it won't mess up the original model. So I migrated the animations over to the original model because it was just, you know, the same scale. Did that. I don't want to save this because this is just a cube. So of course we had the walk. Though, to be fair, I lost the original version of the walk that was made on stream, so I had to make a second one. So I had to make this new version of the walk, and then I made a proper sprint that's not set to... Yep. Like... 14. So I made a proper version of the sprint animation. I mean, of course, there was the run animation that was made, which is a set number of frames long. Try 70. Yeah, there we go. Yes. We made this run animation, I had to remake the walk animation, and since then I made a proper sprint animation, as I already showed off. I don't know why Blender has this thing where it doesn't set like the start and end frames individually. You have to do it whenever you change whatever animation you're viewing. It's a bit tedious, but I also made an idle animation for the player as well, even though I need to stretch this thing back out to like 60. Which, quite honestly, I like the look of this idle animation. It's nice, it's simple. There's motion involved as well. It's not like the player is just moving its arms and legs and whatnot without, you know, like, you know, properly breathing. There's actual weight to it. So I'm pretty happy with how I did with this. And there's like an extra little bit that I did. Though I do need to correct some of this because I didn't intend to have like the other foot tapping. What I was trying to do was like as the character taps its foot, like it slightly bounces like the rest of the model up a little bit, but you know, not in the sense that, oh, it adjusts the foot. I do need to correct this other foot. So yes, that's what I've been working on since last week. Of course, I need to bring, like, some of these other animations into the engine, because I haven't done that yet. In terms of what I have brought into the engine, I have brought in that... I believe I brought in the walk animation, and I also brought in the run animation as well. Let's go back in... Or let's go into the engine and sort of look at what I add... Ooh, whoops! But yeah, oh yeah, player, right. So we have a new blend space for the player's walk. And at the moment, this contains the walk animation and the run animation. At the moment, it does not have the sprint animation. We'll fix that mode, like, very shortly, because I do need to bring stuff into the engine, of course. But I added that, replaced the original, like, retargeted animations for the blend space, because this was originally just made up of, like, animations from the engine, and it made the run look like this, which, not great, doesn't look great. So I'm glad to have finally made a nice like walk and run animation that doesn't look like an absolute hulking monstrosity is barreling down the hallway after you. I'm pretty happy with that. So yes, I think the first thing I'll do, I will bring the other little animations that I've made into the engine and start sort of like blocking them in where they need to be, because I'd rather get that done now than, you know, wait, possibly forget, because of course, as is the case at the moment with Game Dev Sunday, Game Dev Sunday streams are shorter at the moment because, you know, summer Sunday shifts at work get very busy because of the summer, and because of that, my brain is absolutely drained and kind of fucked, honestly, in the evening, so I just kind of, like, do the shorter stream, so I'm at least getting on with a little bit of working on the project, and then sort of, chill for the rest of the night, but... Hold on, I was distracted by the trains outside my window. And then if I have any urge to get on with stuff during the week, like I did this past week gone, like getting on with like other little animation bits, then I will do that. As well as like editing to work on like the video, and also just other learning bits in general, if that makes sense. So, yeah, but I will bring in the animations into the engine. I should also get rid of like this window for Still series, because that was like, oh, your latest firmware update for your keyboard failed. Let us just do this as you log into your PC, even though it... I don't know why it has these issues sometimes. It's a bit weird. It's odd. It's strange. I just don't question it sometimes. But yes, I need to bring animations in. So the way that this works... in terms of, like, exporting animations from Blender, and this was a thing that I was learning throughout the week as well, so I'm gonna pause this, I'm gonna go into layout mode, I think this is how I do it. I think it's, hold on, give me a moment to think. Right, so if I choose... I want to bring in the idle animation first. So that's 60 frames. So I choose the idle animation, I go into layout, and make sure that this, like, set start and end frame is properly selected. Because one thing that I found out, that even if you just, like, have, like, a set, like, number of keyframes, if you have the start and end frames set to specific values, that will be the start and end frames for the animation that ends up in the engine, and sometimes that can cause issues if you try to trim excess frames off in the engine, because it can break animations for whatever reason. I found that out the hard way, so make sure that that's done properly. But we are going to select the armature and the model. I can't remember if it's I select that and then that, or the other way around first. I cannot remember. I should probably quickly... No. We'll do this, and if it works, then it works, and if it doesn't, then... we try again. We try again. That's basically what we do. We try, and if it fails, then we try again. So we go into export, we go into FBX, because that's the format we need. So selected objects, and we go into this bit here, bake animation, and we take off NLA strips and all actions. And instead of naming it like the actual model, because that's what I don't want to do, I'm going to name this Rat Idle. Specifically to name it after the animation. and then we export the FBX. And I'm going to bring File Explorer into the other tab. And now this is where I bring in the animation. So I'm going to go into the folder that I have for learning this stuff. And then rat idle. Yeah, rat idle. I'm going to bring it in here. I'm not going to import a mesh because I already have a mesh ready. I'm going to use the rat black skeleton because that's the one I've been using. And I'm going to just import all. And I know it's going to have this weird issue where, yep, there it is. It's going to be very tiny for God knows whatever reason. I have no idea why it does this. It did this with my other animations when I brought them into the engine. So, one thing that I found is root. So, either enable root motion or force root lock or... Oh wait, that was the idle extra bit. Wait, I thought I selected the... Hold on. Right, I'm gonna get rid of this. I thought I selected the... Unless I didn't? I did not. I did not select the correct animation. Whoops. Why is that erased? Okay, that was weird. I don't know why that did that. That was strange. Okay. Somehow I managed to overwrite my idle animation? Huh? Okay, now hopefully this should be fine now, but... Weird. Okay, right. Now we export again. So export the FBX, selected objects, bake animation, yep. And we're naming it rat idle. We're overwriting the other file because we did not mean to do that. We did not mean to do that. And then we bring in the FBX. We do not import the mesh. We're using the rat skeleton. We import all. And then root, force root lock, and I need to check the other animations if I did the same there. So if I check rat run, I enabled root motion. I also need to double check if it's actually doing this properly. Oh yeah, no, it's doing it properly. Which I'm pretty happy about. It's doing it pretty well. So it was enable root motion, not force root lock. I don't know why it does this. It's weird. It's very weird. And I also need to double check if there was anything with the blend space that I adjusted to. Thumbnail. Okay, so there was nothing extra and nothing weird that I did or changed in the blend space or anything. But yes, this should be sorted to place into the AnimBP. So I'm gonna go into the player, the ABP, so the AnimBP for people who don't know. This was from when I was making the changes to, like, what blend space I was using. This was the original one, and I put this one here just to make sure that things were working. So I can get rid of this now. I don't need it anymore. But, however, we have an idle animation that we need to bring in. So, rat idle. It needs to loop. It needs to loop. Whoops! The animation needs to loop. I forget that, things do not loop by default in the engine. You have to set it to loop. And I'm very happy with that. That's just very cool. I like it a lot. Like, even if it's, like, relatively simple, it's great. It's great. I know, it's cool. Right, so that's the idle animation brought in. The next thing that I need to bring into the engine from Blender is the actual sprint animation. So if I... Hold on. No. Now I remember, I need to go in here. Sprint. Okay, I feel like I just need to keep clicking this instead of just, like, swapping them, because otherwise I feel like I keep breaking things. Oops. No. Right, so the sprint animation is this one. Right. Then we go into layout. I don't really need this playing, I just need to pause it. Gonna grab this, and... Am I in object? Yeah, I am in object mode, so... There we go. Right, perfect. And then we do... if it will not close the thing by accident, same as before... Selected objects, and instead of calling it rat run, we're calling it rat sprint, because this is the full-on sprint. This is the rat just breaking it into a full-on sprint. So, and also that was me accidentally tapping one of the buttons on my drawing tablet. It didn't do anything, it was just a slight little accident, a little mishap. So now... Oh wait, no, I'm not bringing it into that folder. Oops. So, rat sprint. We're not doing that. We're doing this. And then we import. And then we do... It's enable root motion. Right, enable root motion. Yeah, I don't know why it just ends up, like, completely shrunk when I bring it into the engine. I don't know what I missed. If there was, like, a thing, like, that I forgot to, like, do over in the Blender side when I was exporting it. But, I can just enable root motion and it's fine. But it's weird. It's very weird. So now, if I go into the blend space, it's a dwarf. It's short. I know. He's so short. He's so tiny. So I'm gonna have to take a quick look at the player blueprint just to judge this properly, because no. Shush. Shush. I'm not that short. I'm not that sure. Right. Yeah, sprint speed. Okay, so I set the max sprint speed for like 1,100. But now, I think in how I'm going to handle this, I would rather, like, not make it a blend space thing. I'd rather just have it as its own animation, rather than be part of the blend space. And then adjust things based on, like, what happens here. So, we're actually going to have to go into the code a little bit. Right, so the main thing that I'm going to be adjusting today, I'm not going to be adjusting literally anything else for the most part, unless I decide to. It's the player anim instance that I'm interested in today. Where is my glasses? There they are. Right. So the one thing that I want to do is that I want a variable that I can track in the anim blueprint to say whether or not the player is currently holding the sprint button. So, to be fair, I could just copy the uProperty macro because it's going to be the same. There's nothing like specific that I need to change about it, but it'll just make it easier just to bring it over. B is sprinting. Now, at the moment, B is falling. Like, that's just very, like, simply set to, the character movement. Set should move is checking whether or not the player should, or the animation. Wait, hold on. Let me actually. So, set should move. B should move. B acceleration not 0, and B there. Right. Okay, let me just refresh my memory. There's some things that I haven't checked for a while. Oh yeah, no, now I remember. Now I remember. So, in the event that, like, these conditions are met, so if the acceleration for the player is not 0 and their ground speed is a certain amount, then it will just say, oh yeah, this player should move. You should animate them moving, and it will do that. So at the moment, we've got this being checked, but there is another thing that I need to try and check for, and I need to remember if I did this as a... There's another thing. Right. One moment, right. I'm trying to rack my brain for a solution. Of course, B is sprinting. That's what we need. To be fair, I may as well also close the engine while I'm doing this. Whatever I was doing there has been saved anyway, so I don't have to worry about, oh, I've lost things. But... Bull, B is sprinting. Right. So, I need to get from the player whether or not they're currently sprinting. That is essentially what I need to do. So, if I go into... I'll bring this one up here because I like keeping my things organized. And luckily, in the H file, I already have B as sprinting there. So, if I go... So at the moment, I don't think I have anything that says get is sprinting. So B is Right. B is sprinting. Yeah, that's the only time that it's made reference to. So I can do this. Right. So and this way we can check whether or not the player is currently sprinting. And then in the anim instance, although I could simply just say, oh, B is sprinting equals this and that and whatnot. I'm gonna make a method for it anyway, just for the sake of it. Void set is sprinting. Whoops. So well, thank you for the 100 bits. Or the 200. I can't tell if that's 100 or 200. I'm a bit silly. Righty-ho. So set is sprinting. Thank you. And simply put, we're going to say B is sprinting is equal to player character get player is sprinting. Yep, that's the one. And now I don't want to call this like outside of this part of the code anyway, because otherwise it'd be like, oh, the player doesn't exist. We can't do this. So set is sprinting. And it's literally it for the site for the time being. So I'm going to compile and get the project built again. Just so we can start making the changes that we need to make on that side of things. Though I'll probably experiment with this, but also what I was planning or thinking of initially anyway, just to see how both results look. And if one looks or feels better compared to the other, then I'll just opt to use that one. But that depends on how like this whole little check goes. It's a balancing act trying to figure out what does and doesn't work. 1, 2, 3. Bah, bah, bah. Alright, it's just loading up now. Ouch. 1, 2, 3. Bah. Freaking. Right. Oh, bless. Right. The anim blueprint. Right. Okay. So there are two solutions that I'm going to present for this. One of them is just having a new state for the sprint. So this one will be consisting of two conditions. B should get should move, and get is sprinting. I love this song a lot. That much is obvious. And then this one is just the inverse, so... To be fair, I could have just... copied the conditions from... No, wait, no, No, wait, no. I know what I'm doing. I just realized. Right, so I'm not going to... Right. So, not Boolean, so... If both of these are false... then it will go back into the idle position, or the idle state. And then the other way this happens is if we're already moving, but we just sprint. And the reason I say this is because there is a possibility that the player just decides to hold the sprint button before they start moving, and then they just start moving and they're sprinting already, so hey, we may as well move into that state immediately. And then this one is just, oh, if they're moving and then they decide to sprint, basically. So I'm accounting for essentially both. Ooh, wait, I just realized something. Not realized something, I was just thinking about something. Never mind. Right. Right, the song was making me think of whether or not Street Fighter 6 had this as like a thing you could get in the game, but I don't think it does. That's upsetting. Right. Now, there's no guarantee that this works. I mean, there is a chance that it works, there is a chance that it doesn't work, and there is a chance that it doesn't look too great. Right. Now, I'm hoping that this doesn't... Right. Oh, wait, I did not loop the animation. I did not loop the animation. It just started, like, moving and then stopped and it was sliding along. Alright, so... in terms of how this animation looks, now I'm thinking about it, like, it looks okay from a distance. Or from, like, a certain angle. But there is definitely better that I could do. But for the time being, it works. In a way, it feels a bit too exaggerated, but that's fine, that's fine. But we have a system in place where we can switch from the standard running to the sprint animation on the fly, which is great. So, that was one thing that I wanted to try and future-proof. Sorry. And also, I realize now that in actuality, this works out a whole lot better than my original idea. So I'm going to go into Clip Studio for this just to, like, illustrate my point. Just because. So my original plan was, instead of, like, having, like, the sprint state in particular that we move between. I'm just illustrating this part anyway, because it's like, oh, this is what I went with. But instead of doing this, my original plan was to add the sprint animation to the blend space that I made, which already had the walk and the run. But what that would have meant is, how blend spaces work is that if you have, like, two animations on, like, a blend space, and you have that blend space driven by, say, a character's movement speed, like, if it's set to, like, an absolute value, then you can basically say, oh, the speed is set to this value, and then at this point on the blend space horizontal axis, it will play this animation. Or if it's at this speed further along, then it will play this animation. So that's all well and simple. But if you were playing a speed in between two different animations, it would essentially, like, interpolate between the two animations and play what's essentially, like, an amalgam of the two, like, transitioned between each other. And while it is okay in some cases if you have, like, a natural, like, or, like, an animation that naturally transitions out of, like, a walk animation into a run animation, the same can't be said for how I've done the sprint animation, because that would just look awkward, like, transitioning into the sprint animation from the run, and then when you stop sprinting, back into the run from the sprint, so that would look kind of weird. So I'm glad I decided not to do that, because now that I think about it, that wouldn't have looked too great. Hello, Dev. Hello, friend. Interesting things have been said today. It has also been very warm again today. That much is true. It is still 19 degrees outside. It's funny because you're also doing dev stuff, and dev is, it really is the simple things. That got me a little bit, not gonna lie. But yeah, no, I will eventually return to, like, the proper sprint animation, but for the time being, it works, but again, it can be better. Though I am trying to sort of get used to how I'm manipulating the bones for this character, where it has, like, a very limited number of bones and a very limited range of motion for each of those bones. So, of course, it's its own process. Let me think. Blender. I need to get back into Blender now. Right. So, the other animation that I need to bring in... I don't need to bring in the A pose. I only... Oh, wait. That ain't right. Oh, wait, we're in object mode. That's why. I am a very silly lad. I forget, I need to go into pose mode for this. There we go. Silly me. Anyway, I don't need to bring the A pose in. The A pose only really exists as, like, a single frame animation, just so I can reset the model back to its, like, standard position for when I need to, like, make a new animation from scratch. That's the only reason why this exists. It serves no other purpose. Yes, so I brought in the idle, I brought in the sprint, the walk and the run already exists. The only thing I need to bring now is this, like, is the extra, like, idle bit that I also made. and I'm gonna set that to 50 frames because that's, you know, that's the end frame. That's what it does. But there is a thing that I am going to need to correct, and that's with the other foot. I did not mean to have the other foot, like, sort of shift. Now, I'm wondering if there is a way for me to make it, like... So, if I go rotate on the X, and then select all, and then location, rotation, and scale on that frame. No, it needs to be slightly more. Now, I can't tell. Is this just going to be... Oh, balls. Rotate on the Z. Rotate on the... No, that's not what I meant. I meant to rotate the other thing on the X. I feel like... Right, so if I... Now, how do I Oh, wait, that's how you deselect bones. Kind of annoying that I have to double-click every single time I want to deselect the bone. I feel like there's a better way of doing this, and I think there is, but I just don't know. And then we'll lock... No, damn it! Oh. Location, rotation, and scale. Puppy pose. That's more like it. And then location, rotation, and scale. Oh, wait. Whoops. Rotation and scale. This might be better. Alright, this looks ever so slightly better, I feel. It's not perfect. It's not perfect. It can be better. But it can look better. The animation can look better, but it's good. It's good for the time being. Back into the layout, back into object mode. I mean, to be fair, layout and object mode being like this is fine enough. And then export. Just a moment. Also, just to make sure that... Yep, there we go. But yes, this is just going to be, because this is the extra bit, this is going to be rat idle extra 1. But this is like the first extra bit, so this is going to be rat idle extra 1, and I need to make sure that this is still, yep, all the settings are still the same. Cool. So back into the engine, we're going to go back into the animations player, and then we're going to bring this in. No, wrong skeleton. Right, I need to cancel that now. Right, import mesh. Because I feel like that I might have messed that up if I just kept going with that initial attempt. Sounding like I'm aging in like 10-year chunks. Okay. Enable root motion. Okay, now. So, like, within, like, the next, like, hour, like, proper hour and whatnot, I'll be trying to, like, do more of the animation bits and whatnot. Because I do want, like, a jump animation, jump/falling animation too. That's what I need. And, like, maybe the start of a stomp animation, who knows? My brain froze. Not in the sense of, oh, I had something cold and my brain froze. No, my brain literally just hung for just one moment and had to just kind of do like a little soft reboot. Oh yeah, no. Right, now I know. Now I know what I was doing. Okay, so this is going to be another part of a thing that I'm wanting to try and experiment with. So at the moment, like, if I just click play, Like, if we just leave the player like that, the player just kind of, does their thing. They, don't do anything else. And the question that one may ask is, how do we get that little extra idle bit to play? Do we just, like, make, like... Like, we can make an anim sequence and do things that way. And, to be fair, I feel like that is one of the, like, or anim montage and do things there. But it would require a very specific setup, I feel. And I feel like that would take way too long for, or at this point, that would take way too long. So, the other thing that I'm trying maybe to think about is, in the anim blueprint itself, wait a minute, ouch. How would I go about... There was a thing. There was a thing! There was a thing that I was trying way back when, and I'm... Oh, God, I need to remember what state aliases do. State alias UE5. I wish I could remember what those did. So yada yada yada. Green states. I'm having to look at the Unreal documentation to try and refresh my memory on this stuff. It's kind of embarrassing. Oh, right. That's... Okay, I remember a little bit of... So I'm gleaming something, with reading up on the documentation, but I feel like... not exactly what I don't know if there's a way to get, like, a specific, like, without, like, having to, like, use transition rules and whatnot, just play a very particular, like, state? No. I am thinking. And at the moment, my head is empty and I'm struggling to think of ideas. So, the outbreak is starting soon. I'm going to give myself that time to think. So, we'll be back in a few minutes. So hang on tight. Right, and we're back. Okay. So during the ad break, I was trying to sort of, rack my little brain, try and think of an idea for this, and I just realized what I could do. So, I'm gonna walk through it slowly because, I may as well. And it involves using a thing inside animations themselves called anim notifies. Um, oh gosh, and essentially just like Like, anim notifies, what they are is essentially, they are a thing that you can add to an animation where when it reaches a certain point, it does a thing. So, for example, oh yeah, there we go. It's on this one. It's on this track. So for anim notifies, we can add like there are a number of built-in ones. Oh god, grayscale me. Oh no. But yeah, there are a number of built-in notifies for like Unreal. There's like pause clothing simulation, play sound, play particle effect, and other stuff for like clothing simulation and whatnot. Or there's skeleton notifies, which are custom ones. And we're going to be using a skeleton notify. I have no proper idea what to call this, so I may just call this track idle counter. So this would be track idle counter. And then I'll place this here towards the end of the animation. And then we're going to go into the anim blueprint, because this next part involves being in here. So event anim notify track idle counter. So now that we've made an anim notify that's attached to this particular character's skeletal mesh, because this animation blueprint uses the same skeletal mesh, we can now access this anim notify like from here. If we were to make another like animation blueprint, like a completely fresh plain one, but just still use this character's skeleton, then we will still be able to access this. So what I'm wanting to do from here is I'm trying to think. Variable. I need to add a variable. So this is going to be idle count. And it's going to be an integer. And of course its default will be 0, because why not? So whenever track idle counter is called, we're going to set idle count to get idle count add. And we're just going to add 1. And then I'm going to add another variable. This is just going to be idle count limit. And for example, for sake of argument, I'm going to set this to say 8. And what that essentially means is that that is checking. Oh wait, I haven't gotten that far yet. I didn't get that far in my explanation yet. Oops. So the reason why we have this idle count limit variable as well is that we're going to make a branch. So we're going to say if this idle count is greater than or equal to this idle count limit, then what we do is we do whatever we need up here and we just don't do anything else if it's false. Now, what I'm planning on doing is play animation. Or it can only play an anim montage, right? So it has to be a montage. So we are going to need to use an anim montage. So idle extra. Right, so we're going to call this section extra 1. Right. Though, actually, I should rename this anim montage from AM Idle to AM Idle Extras. Because there's going to be more than one, like, extra, like, animation bit that plays from the idle animation, but, at the moment we don't have that. So, it's just going to be the one at the moment. So... So, either on completed or uninterrupted, either one works. We're gonna... Whoops. Set idle count... No, wait, no, actually. When this happens anyway, so regardless of whether or not it's interrupted, we're just going to set idle count back to 0. So... I'm also going to add a print node here, just to make sure that this is, you know, being called. So idle loop finished. Right. So that's 1. That's 2. That's 3. 4, that's 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, that doesn't seem to... Okay, that's odd. So, the one thing I also need to check is... skeletal mesh component. What's owning component? Owning component is... Yep. So that might be the issue. So get owning component. And that will return the skeletal mesh component. Right, so I'm assuming that the reason why I messed that up is because I forgot to connect that. Because I believe that it actually does require a reference to a skeletal mesh component to do that. Let's go! It did it! Though also, now, the thing I have also just realized is that if the player starts moving... Oh, wait. So I've just realized something I can do. If... Should... No. Should... Why am I doing... Should... So get should move. So... So I'll do this as a sequence. So that passes into there, and then branch. It should move, then oh wait, actually, get. Let me look at. Okay, that's not helping. Yeah, there you go. So if printing, get should move. Right, I think should move is the only one that works for this. Okay, so then right, this is a patchwork solution. I'm pretty sure there is a better way of handling this. But I will figure that out at a later point in time. But right. Okay, so that bit works. I don't need the print string anymore, because we know that works. So I'm happy with that. So that was part bringing things in, part fixing an animation, but mostly bringing things into the engine. Right, sorry about that. Where was I? Oh yeah, no. Mostly bringing things into the engine and adjusting things, like, to work around the new stuff. Right, so next is back into Blender, because, oh boy, there is the matter of making a jumping slash falling animation, and also a, I guess, stomping animation, and also start stomp animation, but one step at a time. One step at a time. So, so if I go into animation, animation's already in pose mode. Go into A pose, that's where I need it to be. Right. Okay, so I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make it I'm gonna do the stomp one, because the stomp just seems relatively simple. It feels like just kind of a single frame. Like, a single frame for the stomp itself, but then, like, a few frames of animation for, like, the actual stomp landing. Because while we don't have, like, a proper landing animation, I will do, like, a landing animation for the stomp, because otherwise that would be weird if we went from stomp into just... Yeah, no, we're done now. So, rat stomp. And I'm pretty sure, as I said, rat stomp will be just a single frame of animation. Or, like, a slight animation where, like, the head's, like, slightly waving, or the arms are, like, moving a little bit. So... Okay, no. Actually, no. That doesn't work. So... Not in the way that I wanted it to. So, we're gonna drag this up on the Z. Wait, actually, I'll bring it back to frame 0. So we're gonna take this, go in the Z, bring it up slightly. Wait, actually, now that I think about it, I could select both of these and bring them both up, so I don't have to do it individually and awkwardly mess it up. Right. I'm also gonna... Oh, wait, I need to make sure I make a fake copy of this so it actually saves. It's just how Blender works. For the most part, if you're trying to make animations and whatnot, if you don't, like, make a fake copy of, or what it calls a fake copy, then it just doesn't save the animation that you're working on. So it's kind of weird. Okay, so... Wait, actually, if I move this on the Z... Move it along the Y a little bit, and move it along the Z. Also, I don't know why. I've been thinking about the game Deadly Premonition. If you know what Deadly Premonition is, then sadly you're cursed with knowledge like I am. But if you don't know what Deadly Premonition is, you're lucky, but I'm also going to burden you with said knowledge anyway, so you're cursed just like me. What Deadly Premonition is essentially this one game that was heavily inspired by the likes of Twin Peaks. However, it's one of those games where it's kind of laughably bad, but a lot of people say so it's done so in a way where it works to its credit, where it's so bad where it's good, apparently. And, I've only, like, heard tidbits of it, and Dragon played it at one point on stream last year when she was trying to, originally play Resi 4 Remake on stream, but for some reason it just died. So she, resorted to Deadly Premonition as like a backup, and thanks to her I got the bloody whistling theme from that game stuck in my head. I am not going to curse people with that just yet. I'm leaving that for if I ever decide to play the game myself. Now I have to. I'm gonna take sorry, just a moment. The thing I was thinking about is, like, I'm trying to visualize it, and I may be a bit further from the microphone, and that's because I'm stood up, trying to, like, physically visualize how this is gonna look. I'm trying to think, how far would the arms go up if it was a stomp? Because if it was a jump, it would be, like, slightly behind the player. And I know you can't physically see this, and that's a good thing. But I myself, I'm trying to, like, properly, like, act out how this is going to look. And, you know, this is taking me a while to think about it, but I feel like maybe I can, like, if I'm thinking of, like, the jump as a, like, animation where, like, the arms are brought down as the player jumps up, then this could be, like, somewhat distinct. But then again, I have to think about how it's going to look when the player falls. And I would possibly have to adjust some things a little bit more. So... But yeah, no. I've been thinking of Deadly Premonition a little bit. There has to be an exaggerated way that I can make this work. And if I try and rotate it like that, then the leg turns upside down, so... I'm gonna have to stand up and try and visualize things again. Hold on. I just realized what my problem is. Like, what I need is, like, I don't... Like, this just looks like it's gonna be, like, a falling animation. But if I bring this down... Like, my problem is that I need the foot to be flat. I need the foot on the actual stomping foot to be flat. And then for this other foot... Oh god, I did not mean to... I did not mean to... I meant to rotate. I meant to rotate. I think that works. Unless it doesn't, in which case I need to adjust things a bit more. And some slight adjustments may be a little bit needed. Yeah, so not completely flat. Slightly angled, but that works. And then I think, of course, I need to bring the arms up a little bit more, in my opinion. That's my opinion, though. I may be wrong. Let me think. So, if I look at this... Maybe I should... I'm going to rotate the head a little bit more. Because then I think that would look a lot better. Then I'm going to... select the entire skeleton, location, rotation, and scale. And I think, as I said, this is just going to be, like, a single frame, like, animation thing for the stomp. It doesn't need to be, like... And then... I'll swap back to the A pose, because that's my nice little baseline. Oh, wait. I'm gonna take this pose. I'm gonna copy pose. I'm going to call this rat stomp land. And I don't know. I'm gonna do location, rotation, and scale here. And then I'm going to paste pose, location, rotation, and scale. Because what I want at the end of the stomp landing, I'm going to try and visualize it again, even though it will sound like I'm stepping away from my microphone. Hopefully this is like a funny thing to kind of observe in isolation when I'm trying to do this. Because honestly, it's kind of funny to me, but I also like this process of like this part of the animation process where you're just trying to like physically visualize how an animation's going to look. So you just try and take the steps to emulate how it will look when that animation will end. So if I do like a stomp and then land like very deeply on my leg, ow, that hurts, and then sort of like transition back into the idol. Okay, I think I know what I'm gonna do. So... Ook. Okay, right. I know what I'm gonna do. Roughly. I roughly know what I'm gonna do. I say... So I'm gonna grab this bone here, we're gonna move it down. I wish it would just, like, maintain things. It's kind of a bit of a frustration. Let's... Actually, that doesn't work. I need to move these two bones up. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, see... Hold on. So I brought it down, and then... What I'm trying to do is, I'm trying to, like... G on the Z. And I'm gonna rotate on the... no, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. So I feel like I need to adjust this so slightly more. Wait, hold on, actually. This is at 0, this is at 0.3. Why? Why is it slightly different? What the... Sorry about that. I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna take this. G, Z, G, Y, G, Z, No, I may need to set it back to individual origins. Rotate on the Y. Okay, that might be why things were a bit fucky. I'm gonna go sleep. Good luck with the rest of the stream. You're doing an amazing job. Thank you ever so much, and have a good rest of your night, and take care. Right, so the thing that I feel like I'm kind of missing, I think rotating the hands as well might be nice. Oh wait, no, actually, that's roughly the same. And then select all the bones, location, rotation, and scale. Ooh, wait. I have an idea. Right, so I'm going to take the pose at this position. Copy pose. I'm going to move this. Oh, wait, no. I only want to select this part here. I'm going to paste the pose here. Select all the bones, location, rotation, and scale. And then we have our landing animation. We have like the first part of the landing animation, and then we just continue with it. So I'm pretty happy. Well, that's the stomp landing actually, not the actual landing animation, because we don't have an actual landing animation. So yeah, no, that's the stomp landing. And that's pretty cool. So I'm gonna go back into layout. We're gonna take this and then select. Oh, whoops! I accidentally held on caps lock. Whoops! And then we're gonna export this, and I'm pretty sure. Yeah, no, it is using the stomp land. Right, so we are exporting the stomp landing. So export FBX rat stomp land. And then making sure that we have the same settings as before. We do have the same settings as before, so we export that. And then go back into animation, select rat stomp, go back into layout, set it to just 0. The start frame and end frame is 0 here. And it's only just literally that. So again, same as before, we export the FBX, and we're just calling this rat stomp. Okay, right. Now we go back into the engine. We go back into the folder. We get rat stomp. Yeah, rat stomp first. Do not import the mesh. Rat black skeleton. Import all. Fail to import. This does not contain any valid. Oh wait, I just realized what might have happened. Uh-oh. So what about rat stomp land? So do not import mesh skeleton. Okay, so that's fine. Okay, right. So the thing that I messed up with here, the start and the end frame still needs to be 1 here, otherwise no animation will exist. So if we select all, we export again, and then we just export it as rat stomp once again. Right, and then back into the engine. And then we bring the stomp. Import mesh. Set skeleton. La-di-da-di-da-di-da-di-da. And now that's better. Right. Okay. So root motion. My brain. Oh! Less. Oh. Also, I realized something. I have not posted the schedule for the week in the Discord yet. I need to do that. Because I know, like, I've repeated, like, ad nauseum multiple times in that Discord that, oh yeah, this week, there's going to be mostly Destiny 2 stuff this entire week, and so on and so forth. And it's going to be a lot of stuff and all that jazz, but I haven't actually posted the schedule for it, because it's like, oh yeah, there's 2 days where it's not going to be Destiny 2. Just 2 days, though. The other 4 days, because I'm planning on like streaming almost every day of the week, is just going to be Destiny 2 because of the expansion and all that jazz and getting ready for the raid race. And that's going to be fun. So if I look at third person. Right, the third person character, I want to find its animation blueprint and see how its states are set up, because I can't remember if it does use state aliases or it oh wait, no, it derives from ABP Mani, which is this one. Oh yeah, it does. So right, it does use state aliases. Okay. I'm going to keep that one open. I'm going to open up the player one. So at the moment, idle state, locomotion. And if I remember, locomotion is, yep. Oh yeah, no, I did use state. I did do this. I did do this, right. Okay, right. So, to be fair, I think I, for the most part, kind of copied what I did, like, from ABP Manny, but to be fair, it had a fairly good basis for state aliases and whatnot. So, looking at this and looking at the other one and seeing how similar, or they are exactly the same, it's refreshing my memory on things now. So, what I need is, like, the automatic rule and B should move. And then I need the state here, stomp, land. Right, so this one's... Yeah, this one's automatic rule based on... Like, based on the end of the animation. And this one is... Right, so that's the automatic rule, and that's, should move. This one is should move. Righty-ho. Why did I do that? That was so silly of me. Back into... Right, main states. I needed to go back to main states. To be fair, I could... I don't need, like, a stomping state or stomp land state alias. I can just say to not be as falling and... But then I do not have a thing that says the player is currently stomping. Or was stomping. I actually may need to think about this for just a moment, because... Right. So, I'm going to go into Clip Studio and visualize this next part, just for the sake of it. I also realized that, I Won't Forget You Buddy still exists on here. I had not changed things on, like, this, scene. So, whoops, close enough. Welcome back, Eddie Brock. But yes, so, in terms of how tracking, like, the stomping, like, variable works, so when the player, like, presses stomp, so when the player presses stomp, B is stomping is set to true. Like, that much is clear. And when we land, B is stomping equals false. Now, this isn't the case of, oh, this happens like after a few moments or whatever. It's the instant in which the player lands, regardless of whether or not they were stomping or not, and regardless of whether or not B is stomping was, like, set to true, like, beforehand, B is stomping will always be set to false. This is essentially an immutable law. However, because it happens in the instant, there is no way to check, oh, this is, stomp, wait, hold on, this wasn't stomping, so we're just gonna go back into the normal landing state, which is not exactly what we want. So, we're going to have to try and make some adjustments here or there, which allows for us to basically check, oh yeah, so we were stomping on a previous frame, or we had been stomping before, and then we're just going to clear this one. So I'm going to have to make some adjustments. It's not ad break time yet, but I am going to quickly take a small little break, go to the, go get another drink, go to the bathroom and whatnot. I'll be right back. So I'll be back in just a few moments. Okay, actually, that little break's gonna have to wait. Right, so... And the reason for that is because, brother's in there, so I can't go there yet. But yes, I need to make some adjustments that essentially will try and store whether or not it was stomping for at least a little while. So we're going to go back into the code. I did keep the player character open, or the player character class is open, which is good. So we go into H. No, actually, yeah, we go into H. Now, at the moment, we do not have anything to return yet. I'm going to say return false for the time being, just so this stops freaking out. So bool B is stomping. I'll say bool B was stomping. This is... And this might be a haphazard way of doing this. There's probably a better way of doing this. So bool B is stomping is true. B was stomping. And I'm going to say U function void reset was stomp. And I'm going to want this generate definition. And this is literally just going to be B was stomping equals false. And then, so landed. There we go. Set timer. It's going to say F timer handle reset was stomp handle. So we're going to say reset was stomp handle, then and ATP Clear character. Reset was stomp. Set. And the outbreak starts in a few minutes, chat. Oh yeah, no, now I remember. So I need in object as well. There we go. Right. I am gonna have to reset. I'm gonna make sure that the engine is all set. And then I'm gonna have to click this to close the engine. Because otherwise the changes won't reflect until we recompile. And then we're gonna compile again. Gosh. Right. Okay, the engine is open again. Right. The ads are just about starting in a moment, so we will be back in a few minutes. So hang on tight and we'll be back soon. Okay, we are back. Okay. Oh, ow. That's my foot. Ah. Right, so... Wait, did I didn't do things on the anim instance side of things. I did it on the player side of things, but not on the anim instance. I'm... Ugh. So upsetting. Right, okay. Gonna make another method. This is just gonna be called void set was stomping. Set was stomping. I need to create the definition quickly. I'll enter, and then this is literally just be. I need a boolean. Player was stomping, and then yep, I already have that being called there. So now I'm just gonna have to close the engine and reopen it again because I forgot to do things on this side. Okay, I didn't even start compiling the code apparently. Whoops. Sorry about that. Right, the engine's back open again. Now we go. Back into the ABP. Yeah, we go. So 2 lines. So if is falling and was stomping. So get was stomping and say not boolean. So if it's not stomping and they're not falling, then we just move into the normal landing state. Otherwise, I'll copy this just so I don't have to, like, type so much out again. But the difference is that we Just get rid of the not boolean here, and we say if they were stomping. We're gonna... is falling, was stomping, da 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 da. And then we have stomp land. So we're gonna play the stomp land animation. Now we're gonna try this out. I can't even tell if this is working or not. The timing might be too soon. Right, I think I'm gonna, like, try and figure that out during the week. I'm gonna call it there for today, because, it is getting a little bit difficult to concentrate and whatnot on, like, the technical things. So I'm gonna sort of stop there today. But to everyone who showed up, and to everyone watching things back on the VOD, whether it's here on Twitch or on YouTube, depending on when you're watching this, thank you ever so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Next stream will be tomorrow. I have not figured out what I'm going to do yet, but originally I was going to play Peak, but however, Heater, as he is currently away, and I was gonna run it with him, then I'm not gonna play Peak on stream tomorrow. I will do something else. I have one or two things in mind, but we'll have to wait and see what that holds. But yes, thank you ever so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And as always,